So that's just moving us forward. Values. Values are distinct from goals. They are what are important to us. Motivators, gives a real reason for doing things, and they're also standards by which we sort of measure ourselves and others can measure us. And we can have different values in terms of what we do. One of the things we have to be careful of, though, is making assumptions as well about, someone else's value set if it's different from ours. Because behind a lot of things is always a positive intention. So say if somebody smokes, you could look at that and say, well, that's a negative health behaviour. But actually behind it, there's a positive intention. It might be an acceptance in a peer group situation that started somebody smoking because their friends were smoking. It could be, helps me relax. So it's a crutch, it's a habit that we develop. But in behind it, even though we know, if we construct a frame that says from a health perspective, it's bad for you, then there was a positive reason that people started to do it. MISPA has a set of values. Now, when Bernard was brought in, we had a business plan and we'd secured some money, and then we had to appoint a project manager. You always do this a bit backwards, really. That we didn't, you don't bring someone in to think about what you want to do and then construct it. So Bernard came in, there's a business plan, and it's a case of here's the business plan. My first words were, read it, then just ignore it. What I want you to do is go away and think of the values by which we're going to operate. True? Because in my head I was thinking, we're dealing with communities. First off, how do you define a community? Is it geographical? Is it faith? There are so many different things. And I thought, 4-year project, capacity building. What the heck is capacity building? Sustainable community? What's that? So I thought at the end of 4 years, we could have a lot of people who agreed with us, and a lot of people who disagreed with us. And when you get the funding, you get this sort of thing. You can have the money, and I like your bit before, but, and there's always a but, isn't there, that says, well, but it's got to be done this way, and it's got to be done that. And sometimes when you get the money, with the best intentions in the world, you go back out into the community, and that's it's not right. Because actually what we wanted is this. And, you might not have got that. What you're trying to do is get to that point. But they then say, well, it's just not good enough, because what we really need is this. But you have to sort of build up to it. And what I wanted was a set of things that would allow us to interact with people, and that people would judge us on our values. Not necessarily sometimes by the things that we had to do in order to get the money for the bid. And there's always a case of getting a balance between those, because we live in the real world, or do we? But it's that sort of sense of, reflecting knowledge, expanding capacity, enabling practitioners, learning from the community and sharing good practice. Any interactions we have, any bid that we're about to do, we look and say, will the bid allow us to do those? If we cannot express the values, we do not go for the bid. End of story. It's not about how much money is involved, it's not about that. If it doesn't fit those, we don't do it. We share this with all our partners. Not all our partners share them with us. But again, we define where we're coming from. And in terms of working with community groups and working with individuals, this is the bit we ask them. Judges on this. Yes, we get you to fill evaluation forms in because that's one of the things that we're asked to do for the funding. But it's much more important that at the end of it, we get some sort of sense of feedback on this. And that's what drives us. So absolutely everything we do is driven by the values. And I can't stress that enough, really. That once you've got that, it makes you whole, congruent. It drives everything that you do. So we set those. I think that's important. As a team, we set those, and as a team, we constantly go back and we talk about them and see if they're still current. Because again, we're changing, we're learning as we go along, so we might want to update those.